Yeah. When I was young, I was a fool.
And I am your host, Safira Ali. I am an artist and calligrapher based in Leicestershire. You are joining us today for our show, The Artist's Way with Takhleeq Leicester, and we will be talking about Islamic arts, culture and heritage. A little reminder that our show is interactive. So if you want to send us messages, you can do via our Facebook page. And we will read out your comments or questions if you have any. So on to what we're talking about today. On our show, we have got a special guest, Anouar Kassim, who has kindly agreed to be on our show via Zoom. So you can see him on screen there. And he will be talking about his work. Just before I introduce him, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about Anouar. He is the founding director of Milton Keynes Islamic Arts and Culture, which is a charitable organisation based in Milton Keynes and has been running for the past 2 decades, if I'm correct. He began the Arts in the Park Festival that has become the organisation's flagship event, and it's celebrating its 15th year this year and has more than 20,000 visitors. Anouar's mission is to improve cultural understanding in Milton Keynes and to provide a safe environment for its inhabitants. Welcome to the show, Anouar. And
Thank you very much. What a wonderful way to introduce. I feel humble, Safira. Leicester is just junction 21 and Milton Keynes is junction 40. And next time round, I hope to pop by in your office and bring a cup of chai wala with me.
And you know where we are as well now that you've seen it on the map.
The secret is out. The secret is out.
On Evington Road.
Yeah, jewel in the crown. That's what I call. The secret is out. So nice place and buzzing city, full of youth energy, and great things are happening in Leicester and Leicestershire. And thank you for welcoming me.
You're very welcome. And I should probably declare that Anouar did kindly interview me in Milton Keynes earlier this year. So I thought it was a chance for me to interview him in return as a little thank you.
It's a lovely reciprocal nature.
So I've just done a little intro to you, but really I'd like you to tell me a little bit about yourself in your own words, a little bit about your background and how you came to be doing what you're currently doing now.
Of course. Well, let me start with my personal journey, my personal background. I mean, I was born in Kenya, a place called Mombasa. My roots, all generation, are from Zanzibar. It's an island of Kenya and Tanzania. So we came to UK when I was a toddler in late 74. So and then grew in UK like any other, coming from colony countries and Commonwealth, settled down, education plays part. And you grow up with thinking, but this country has given us a huge opportunity, and it has done so. And many of us have responded and reciprocated and contributed extremely well. And we do so continue as year after year and generation goes. I've been living in Milton Keynes for quite a number of years. I'm based at the college, Milton Keynes College. I used to be a lecturer, and then when 9/11 came, and the directors of the college said, Anouar, we know you're a pain in the backside, so we will help to create this organization. So then the great work that you feel passionate about and you want to talk, we will support it. So it was that conversation. And meanwhile, I was always involved in doing assemblies in schools.
Okay.
So there was always that education and assemblies, please come and talk. And this came about as I was a governor in a school.
Okay, I was going to ask what was your background that led to you being able to do that?
It was, so the newspaper, and remember this was pre 9/11. No one was doing it in Milton Keynes,
Okay.
and they wanted to know, and it was to do with inclusion at the time. It was more about diversity. The government policy wasn't even inclusion. So my kids were in the school, and I was a governor there. So they said, "Oh, would you mind, sir, come to the school and talk about what is Eid, what it means,
Okay.
and celebration, and talk about how it fits in with the Islam." And I had to do research as well, because brought up in this country and my own family heritage, what conversation was going on in our own family unit raised by my parents, like anything. So we were diverse. As a Muslim, we are so micro-diverse as well. So, we took that conversation and we created MKIC. And at that time, we decided 9/11, when it happened, that kind of prompted the go-ahead that we need to talk positively, counter the conversation where the media was pointing out that all Muslims were extremists or terrorists. And I said, well, no, hang on, there's Islamic civilization. And we've contributed positively to all society and civilization.
Yeah. And I guess with you setting this up, and you've mentioned there about going into schools and speaking about Eid and Ramadan for the first time, a lot of people that you would have been speaking to, it would have been their first connection to the religion, to the culture, and even with the events that you're doing now, sometimes it's the first interaction that people are going to have with that particular side of the faith or the art that you're talking about. How do you ensure that you are doing it in a sensitive way, but also engaging people who may not be familiar with that work?
Right. Very good question. How, engaging people in sensitive way and everything. Of course, it all starts with, Safira, with planning. Plan. There's not enough plan, and understanding where you're going and the audience is who they are. And have in your mind, the outcome that you want to achieve. And of course, do be open to ask for help if need be. And I have been doing that. I must share that, I did make mistakes and everything. And you learn from it. It's a journey. So from those mistakes, and then you develop, people then respect you.
Yeah.
For making mistakes, and then you ask for help from your own society or good friends.
At the end of the day, we're all human, making those mistakes. Sometimes people,
Absolutely.
like you said, they can respect you for that and then want to work with you.
I've held my two hands in the air so much, Safira, I'm building muscles, in my forearms, so going, when you're a child, you do this exercise, head, knees, and toe, head, knees, and toe. Have you ever done that?
Yes, many times.
Yeah, well, before you're developing muscles everywhere. So, and
Absolutely.
I said, well, hang on, we must talk about the beauty.
Yes.
We do have richness. We do have, and no one was talking in Milton Keynes about the beauty. Everyone was talking food. And even the schools were talking about food. I said, well, hey, but, miss, there is more in Islam than just food. There's arts, there's culture, and there's things. And of course, that was the conversation I wanted to separate. Okay, food is one side, but there's a heritage. And they couldn't see that connection. And it's also, and I don't blame them, because the teacher did not have resources. The Ofsted never produced such things. It is always grassroots level pushed.
Completely. And that's where people like yourself would come in
absolutely.
with that knowledge and work with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did research, and I have got, good friends and professors and everything. And I said, how do I go about this? You know, this is on mainstream media, 24/7. 9/11 happened, and we're bombarded. Everything is bad. Everything, you know, Muslims are terrorists. I was looked upon quite differently. Many Somalian ladies were spat on in Milton Keynes because of the nature of the cultural dress they wore. Sikh young boys were bullied because they thought they were Taliban boys. You know, I said, well, you know, so we started to do a lot of school workshop in terms of doing Islamic arts, but educating at the same time.
And what was the reaction that you had, or the engagement that you had
Well,
from the community then?
mixed reaction because they never. I'll tell you why mixed, because they had preconceived view of who I was and what I was going to deliver.
Okay.
But my roots, yeah, where I was coming from, and the education and the research is, and Islam teaches us always take the middle path. One could say compromise, but no, it is that you're engaging as from all aspects. You know, have a balanced viewpoint. You know, and I had to relearn lots of things myself. I had to re-educate myself to understand how does this fit in as a British Muslim.
Yeah.
Where to go, and
especially if you're giving that information to other people, you just want to make sure that you've got the correct facts that you're able to give to others who aren't familiar with it as well.
absolutely, Safira, and do you know, Islam is in faith perspective, and I put my hand up and say I'm not a Maulana Sahib or Sheikh or anything. I'm just an ordinary Muslim who knows a very small amount and follow it to the best ability. But you seek help and understanding how to do program, how to develop program that is inclusive. And one of the things was about our Ibrahim alayhi salam. You know, he had a very moderate approach that was very inclusive, and so did our Nabi. You know, he was inclusive. And one of the example that I played, and forgive me for saying this, there was a circumstance, a situation happened, and a big hoo-ha in Mecca, all these tribes and all these people having a go at each other. And one of them said, the first person comes from that corner, we will ask his advice, and we'll let him put the stone in the corner of the Kaaba. And it's authentic conversation, hadith, if you can say. And who else happened to turn out? Our sweet Nabi, you know, al-Sadiq. And then he put the stone in the carpet, and everybody carried that carpet from all sides, and it became inclusive. So isn't that a wonderful story of inclusivity we Muslim are? Such simple story, and with the outcome. With the outcome, everyone
and the key
joined
message that you've just said there is about inclusivity, not just
Yes.
within our community, but also how we approach others as well.
And then that was my approach in the schools, and that would baffle them. They had preconceived idea, and I helped to chip that away by the end of the session with them, and gave them examples which the teachers they knew themselves. For example, the mosque, we looked at the garden design and the building architecture, because that was the two hooks, architecture, because they are tangible. And we also went on trips. I organized trip to go to Regent Park Mosque, because that was quite idyllic to look at it and had resource.
Okay. So you've mentioned some of the work that you've done in schools. How did Arts in the Park come about?
Yeah. Well, Art in the Park, thank you very much for asking that. I wanted, you know, after a number of years doing schoolworks and everything, it took some years to gain confidence. You know, this was new area. I lacked confidence, so this kind of I brought some created steering group.
Okay.
People from the council, police, college, director, then later was what do you call the director of inclusivity. He joined. So
Okay.
all these people kind of governed or helped me to navigate to where we are. And sadly, none of the mosque members were keen to be part of this steering group, if I can call, for the Eid Festival, Art in the Park. And we
Okay.
said, let's do something that this city, Milton Keynes, has never seen, a free event where it's a safe environment, good weather, good entrance, funfair, but it's educational based. So as a governor, when we were doing school were doing things, I started to introduce workshops that to create exhibition and things that are tangible, and we would showcase at the Art in the Park Festival. So it became very education led. It wasn't just foodie.
No.
I went to other places, for example, in Luton and in London. You know, we all gravitated London, Eid in Trafalgar Square. You know, I went twice to understand what they were doing. And it's always very food related. And later was Nasheed. But, you know, it served Muslim community.
Yeah, completely.
Because the indigenous community, it did not click what is Nasheed.
Mm.
You know, it didn't. And for me, 9/11 was to educate all society, not just Muslim society, but also the indigenous community, the other community, ethnic community, that Muslims who live in this country, who came from the colonies and Commonwealth, they came with great skills and they have been contributing. And suddenly we've been told directly and indirectly by the media that we all are extremists and terrorists. This is how we were perceived. And I felt it. I personally felt it. However, and I said, no, that gave me the energy and I said, no, we have to do something. So we created Art in the Park Festival, 2 days event, and people started to, you know, from 8,000, 15,000, 18,000 to now we get regulars that we know that they will attend. And now it's come to the stage, they look forward to it. We get the audience of people, families, to come from neighboring towns, Northampton, Leicester, Watford, Cambridge, Bedford, Luton, Dunstable, and some from London have been coming.
I think it's right across the board now. You've got people from all over the country, and you know I can attest to that as well, because you kindly invited me last year to come to the Arts in the Park event and to be part of it. And it was my first experience there, but I loved it so much that I wanted to come again this year.
Well, you are invited. You know, I'll put this on the record. You know, and the thing is, as you see, our audience are young people, family people. And, you know, at the end of the day, if they only take a small seed, who we are and contributing factor, and now more so is needed because what's happening other parts of the world, Gaza, number one. So they need to move that, you know, they need to be seen that Muslims are part of British society. We do contribute. We do add to the economy. We have doctors, nurses. We have chaiwala. You know, we got restaurant where, as I was growing up, Safira, I'm going to diversify in the city. In the corner, it was Chinese takeaway. We have overtaken the Friday night is curry night. You know, how else can we get branded? You know, so Friday night is a curry night, and water carry on. It goes on. So here it is. So economically, we pay tax, and great doctors. Some of them they've helped out in many international scenarios. Earthquake. They went to Turkey, Morocco. many British doctors went, and not only Muslim doctors, indigenous doctors who made friendship, went to Morocco to help in the earthquake, in Turkey, few times, in Syria and Gaza. Some of them been killed.
Yeah.
So, our journey, Islamic arts and culture, is evolving.
It
There's
is.
no full stop.
And also you're showing that we're more than just what people stereotypically think that we are. There's so much more to us. You started off talking about 9/11 and how you wanted to change people's perception. And I also mentioned that you've been working with your organization for 2 decades now. Do you think now in 2024, people's perception has changed from when you started out as to what Muslims are about
Well,
and about our culture?
I must say, COVID, if I can talk about COVID changed quite a lot of us, all society. And I saw some great initiative by mosque that they were making parcels to help people to come and collect it. They weren't invited to come to the mosque, but in the car park where where I interviewed you, car park, there were people with mask and everything, had a bag full of, cooked food or groceries or thing where it helped refugees collected. It happened in many cities. Similar initiative, small scale. But for us, MKIAC became surrogated mother for many refugees because the city where we live, you need to have car. The bus transport is not that great. So we became surrogated mother for many of these refugees, whether they were Somalian and Syrian. So we were traveling by car and volunteers would knock at the door. Oh, are you okay? What did they need? And then, and this was not funded. We were not funded by anyone. We just thought, can we help people? We helped our neighbors who were non-Muslims. There were pensioners. They were more vulnerable, so we did shopping for them. So those kind of initiatives were great, what we've been contributing. And then the people started to learn that their neighbors were Muslims. They didn't think twice, and they started to ask questions that I was pleased to. That they said, "What made you do this? Is it a neighborly thing?" And that starts the conversation.
Yeah.
No, it is part of our culture, our faith culture, that it allows us to be who we are and look after our neighbors first. So those kind of conversation kind of evolved and then it kind of unfolded. What does it do? Well, I said, well, can I talk about our rich art? What do we do? And art in the park. Please come when we open next time. So those kind of things, we need to keep on doing it. And now with the Gaza situation, we mustn't sit on our laurels. We need to do more and more, being creative, cultural organization, and help where we can support artistically, culturally, that, we are bench setters.
Yeah.
We forget that, and we need to install in our madrasa, the Muslim bench setters. Look, 14,000 years ago, we introduced alcohol to clean the medical things. We introduced how to operate cataract eyes. We introduced a unique technology which resulted to AI. There are a lot of kind of science. Look, Surah 45 to 47. It talks about science, about solar system. Now it's all there, but sometimes it's to do with the confidence. We become shy.
And I think
we want to.
That happens a lot in our culture where we sometimes stand back and we let other people do things or dictate to us how we should be doing things. And we're not often standing forward and saying, this is how it should be done, or this is what we think should be done.
I know. And this is very true, Safira. But, and if you are, assertive person and you're very passionate and everything, you will overcome the challenge. It will take times. The walls you need to break. I like Floyd. I know this is a different platform. I grew up with Pink Floyd with the song, Sir, Another Brick on the Wall. That song, please do check it out. And
Gosh,
it has a metaphor.
Yeah.
I'll
have to look it up now.
Yeah. Pink Floyd, I grew up with that music. And one resonate is, Sir, is another brick in the wall. And as a student and people at the time, it was such a difficult period. There was social unrest about miners, miners strikes, and many things were happening in UK and around the world. So that brick became a metaphor of challenging or bringing change. I saw it. So here I use that metaphor. When I face challenges, I said, what brick we can add and swap it around to bring change.
And it's interesting because you said that your organization came about because of 9/11, or
Correct.
that might have been the catalyst for that.
Prompted.
And now with what's happening in Gaza, I see a lot of people wanting to stand forward, wanting to do things, creatively in an art way, but also for charity as well. But it just prompts people to do more and be a little bit more visible as a result of that. Sometimes these world events just kind of
I think, it's, the Muslim by character, by nature, and Islam by faith, we are very inclusive. And this doesn't sometimes come out positively, or we don't make a song and dance about it. And if you look Surah Hujurat, beautiful verse there, Allah created tribes to know each other. And that inspired me to our creating another huge program, a successful program, if I may allow to talk about it. It's called City of God and Light Festival.
Which is one of your other projects as part of the organization.
Yeah, for 4 years we've been doing, we've bench set in Southeast region. It's been acknowledged by many funders at Art Council, and our CEO of the council is a huge supporter, because Milton is the third city in the UK, city of innovation. And this can be checked on the government website. So it kind of plays in. And of course, Bletchley Park was a place that made a difference in bringing the war much earlier to end by breaking the Enigma code. And hopefully you've all seen this movie, usually comes every Christmas. If you've got not Netflix, sit at home and Channel 4 or BBC 2, you'll see this picture, the movie, a famous movie about, there were 2 Hollywood movies about Enigma code.
Absolutely.
And people, and Safira, the Enigma code, you need mathematics.
Yeah.
And the director of the Bletchley Park, lovely gentleman, Ian Standen, I've got lots of time for him. And he said in 2018, Anwar, how can the Muslim community and diverse community can work with us?
Okay.
And the conversation happened. And then 2019, I said, listen, I've got an idea. Let's work that where mathematics came from. It came from Islamic society, civilization. Yeah. Who created algebra? It was Islamic scholars in Iraq, in Baghdad. So let's bring that education element to how it contributed to the war. In between is the process by Alan Turing.
Yeah.
And Alan Turing, he was a scientist, a mathematician, but he wasn't recognized of his work until last 50 years ago. Because for 2 reasons. A, he was gay. And second, the maths he used Islamic principle of mathematics to decode the Enigma code.
And
Not
it's
many people know this.
That link that you've got there.
Yes. There is Turing Foundation in London. Check it out.
Okay.
Alan Turing never had children, but the foundation has, you know, some elements of that. So here it is, you know, we should be proud of our heritage. I call civilization, mathematics, education is part of our heritage.
Absolutely. And I love that link that you've brought in with the
Yeah,
mathematics, but also
absolutely.
that Islamic element of it. And from myself, from my background, I work a lot with Islamic geometry and it's all numbers based.
Beautiful. It
And
is maths
listening to that
based.
link is just a great thing. So
Well,
can you tell
it
me a little
is.
bit more about that work that you did?
Yes, certainly. So when we decided, then we said, okay, how do we use mathematics and make a bigger announcement? So we created this program called City of Code and Light Festival. City of Code because Bletchley Park is known for code makers. Sorry, code breakers, because they're code breaker. And when you come to Milton Keynes, there are signs said City of Codes, meaning this is where Bletchley Park is. And it does. If you haven't been, please visit. I've been there a few times and I've learned quite a lot.
That's interesting. When I did come to Milton Keynes to see you, I did see a lot of signs around, but I didn't realize that's what it was connected to.
It's connected to that.
Okay.
And then for me, I was inspired more when I did research in Surah Hujurat. Surah Hujurat inspired me when that verse, Allah created tribes, different tribes to know each other. Why would our Creator say that? You know, what is the reason why He created these? To find it is more than inclusive. It's pure guidance. Saying, listen, you can't be island mentality. I'm or a Jack. You can't have that attitude. It's beyond that. You know, and I said, isn't it wonderful? You know, our DNA is made of code. If you look in the microscope, it's a circle. And I said, well, how wonderful. So I'm going to use the City of Code. In my perspective view, Islamic tradition is about Surah Hujurat, bringing codes of human being together. Light, who brought light to our humanity? None other than, you know, our Nabi. He brought humanity. He came, he was a light to the humanity. He was created not just for the Muslim, for the whole humanity. And it is said in the Quran, our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, he brought, he was created, he was born to all nations, to humanity. And I thought, well, beautiful. Here is Surah Hujurat and Surah Muhammad, Nur. Surah Nur talks of it. So that became my strength, City of Code and Light Festival.
I love that. And also tell me, so you've told me a little bit about how it came together. Tell me what kind of projects you've done as part of that particular program.
Yes, of course. So this is an October event happening to your viewers, 5th of October, Saturday this year. Watch our space, our website, or join our newsletter. We're happy to share it with you. So we already have embarked, and last year, the world and the Prime Minister created an AI summit in the world, first in Bletchley Park last year. Okay. The first world summit about AI, and Elon Musk was here, and many of those people of that caliber, and about 50 British scientists all around the world joined in that conversation. So I said, well, how wonderful to talk about this year's City of Code Light Festival at the back of AI.
Especially when they're all on your doorstep as well.
Absolutely. But AI has already been used in medical profession, in an operation, cataract eyes, keyhole surgeries, heart, and that. And the recoveries are remarkable, very fast and everything. So we're saving human life in that sense, you know, to have a better mobility. But AI is also some area ethically we need to learn more, because I myself, I'm not a learned person around AI, but I do feel ethically much discussion needs to be done. So we're using mats to create an installation. We're going to illuminate the library in Milton Keynes. And library, why we're illuminating the library? We've done many buildings. Last year before last year, if you remember, it was Queen's Jubilee,
Yes.
Platinum
Yeah.
Jubilee. So we were commissioned by the council to illuminate the city. So I had to go and ask Bishop's permission, and it's on our website. So I said, "What a beautiful building!" Our church in Milton Keynes is a mini version of what's in London, that church, a beautiful
Is
church.
it St. Paul's, possibly?
St. Paul, it's a
Yeah.
mini St. Paul's.
Mm.
But there was another thought, and the bishop, sadly he passed away in Easter in his sleep. Lovely guy. He was charismatic. He was my mentor in interfaith relationships. So I do miss him. So anyway, so he went, looked and asked me, what are my thoughts? And because it says mini St. Paul, but do you know that centuries ago, mosque never had minarets. The architecture-wise, it wasn't there right at the beginning, but it became when our Nabi wrote a letter to Byzantine, if you remember that story. It's a long story, but Byzantine, the churches had that arc, dome shape.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure it was Osmania and dynasty, and they kind of adapted. And that reason was because by having the dome and having glass, it created air and light. A lot of light were coming through. It it illuminated mosques by that kind of dome. And I said to the bishop, do you know who were these scholars, these skilled people in Vatican, particularly when church were built in Sicily? If I give you, and you can get this information Wikipedia to your viewers. And so the first migration of Arab tradition or craftsmen went to Sicily, and they knew how to make glass. And the church leaders in Sicily, they loved the idea how to put pictures of the story of their understanding of Maryam alayhi salam, Virgin Mary, and them. So they asked the Arab scholars to create glass, to create that design to put in church. And that's how all the church adapted. If you go in your church in Leicester, there are glasses with the design and everything. So it was Muslim contribution in one sense. So I told him that story, and he said, how remarkable, so he gave me go ahead. So we created Islamic patterns on the church when we illuminated part of the Queen's Jubilee, but sadly she passed away. And the reason we did that, because Queen opened in 72 this church. So it was quite symbolic.
I love that connection, but also with the church being involved, but you're using Islamic geometric patterns to put those on the outside. So you're kind of using the two together.
Absolutely. And this philosophy and everything was inspired by two stories. One was by Sayyidina Umar when he went to Jerusalem, and then it was during the Crusade time. We had a scholar, I forgot his name, your technician may know. He was he went to Jerusalem at the time of Crusade, and he brought Islam there. I forgot it. Omar, I forgot his name. Strange, but and there was a movie about him, about that journey as well. Hollywood movie. There was truth in that movie, but it was dramatized. It's so famous. Again, you can see that every Christmas it comes. Kingdom of Heavens. That's what they call that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a look. But there's a story about this gentleman. I forgot. Originally he was Kurdish, but he took over the place amicably, Jerusalem, and it became the focal point very much for many, many years. And people lived, Jews and Christian and Muslim, for centuries, been living peacefully.
And that's the
that
main
part of the
thing,
world.
seeing them
Yeah.
live peacefully.
So, yeah, and he put that doctrine. So people misunderstand, and we get bombarded by newspaper negative things. So coming back to the program, so we are using different style of technology. We have a theme, and this year we looked at the theme of bees. We looked at the verse of bees in the Quran, and the bees are huge contributor factors of environment. So we're going to illuminate the library this time. There's a lot of element installation, and there's going to be a parade, digital parade, reflecting the shape of bees.
Quite a lot going on. Can you just give us the date again for that particular event?
Yes, that is Saturday, 5th of October.
5th of October.
And it's open to all society. And Art in the Park is July the 13th.
That's good. We talked about Art in the Park, and I forgot to ask you the date. So that's July the 13th for that one. And I just wanted to quickly touch on, we've talked about all your amazing work, and you were awarded an MBE for your work. Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I call it for my mischief. I was, and I call it mischief because some of characters, close friends, they do, what do you call it, banter and then everything. So when this happened, 2018, so I rang my friend. I got an envelope delivered, a very, yellow, envelope. And I said to my wife, somebody's playing a joke, and I think it must be him because that's his character. I'm not going to mention his name. He's still alive and living. It was very close. I said, well, he must be playing that. I didn't believe. So I put that envelope and the documents inside on a side. And then a week later, my wife said, what do you want to do with this envelope? I said, let me revisit. And I started to panic. I said, no, hey, listen, I've asked around people in the, in the council, the leader of the council and the police. They said, no, this is genuine document. No one is pulling your leg. So I was invited to go to Windsor Castle, met the Queen, had a 10 minutes conversation. There were line of people, and we needed to be 8 in the morning in Windsor Castle because you already been security checked, but they do it again, and then you get tea. You need to have breakfast in your hotel. There was no there, but you get juice to drink. And we were not told who was going to give this award, but majority of people were from great scientists from the army who served in the Afghan war, who were lost, or people who lost their arms, legs, teachers, head teachers. And I was part of that, and I felt, well, why me? What have I done to deserve this?
A big cross-section of people, and, it's such an achievement to be able to get that. I'm just looking, sorry, just to round up, Anouar, I'm just coming to the end now, and I just want to say a big thank you to you for coming on the show, speaking to us about your work, but also supporting us as part of the Takhleeq Leicester, and agreeing to come on to be one of our supporters and our mentors. And I'll just quickly mention the Takhleeq Leicester. It's a new network to support Islamic arts, heritage, culture and creatives. And our next event is going to be on Saturday, 1st of June at 2 p.m. at the Attenborough Arts Centre. Please visit our Instagram just to see what we're doing and when our next event